Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Today, my guest is J. Hunter Anson. He's the director of the Digital Residency Office of the Republic of Palau. This episode is going to be a little different, but I think it counts because everyone in our audience is interested in residency programs around the world. And maybe I'll justify it because Palau was a Spanish colony for a period of time. So there's your Latin connection. But in this episode, we're going to get into a very unique program that Palau is offering. It'll be specifically interesting to our audience that are crypto investors and interested in crypto, but really everyone, digital residency. Jay, welcome to the show.
Hi, yes, really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Interested and excited to get the word out about Palau's digital residency program.
Yeah, absolutely. When I saw this program, I know it launched about a year ago, but I only heard about it a couple weeks ago. And when I saw this, I was immediately interested. It seemed like you were doing something truly innovative. And to actually have the director of the Digital Residency Office on the podcast to talk about the innovative program that you guys are doing, I think is going to be really exciting. So very much appreciate your time.
Oh, yes, thank you. I really appreciate it as well, and just wanted to say hi to your audience and those that are throughout Latin America or wherever you're at in the world listening. The our main intent behind the program is to provide not just the digital residency, but also opportunities for innovation and continued exploration of use of the blockchain, and especially in regards to economic freedom and global freedom of travel and global citizenship and things of that nature.
Yeah, we're definitely all about global citizenship. Jay, I'll tell you a bit about our audience. So I'd say it's typically majority American, right? English speaking. So Americans, Canadians, Europeans who are often digital nomads or expats in Latin America, right? So they're interested in internationalization. We talk about getting residency in Mexico and Paraguay, Panama, everywhere in Latin America. And really a lot of our audience, they're not like 100% LATAM people. They also maybe have bases in Georgia or Armenia or Portugal, right? So people are in Turkey. So people are internationalizing all around the world, and potentially Palau could fit into their holistic strategy, right?
No, yeah, that's great. And Palau has always been uh, open to everyone. They're so citizenship. Right now there's no path to a Palauan citizenship, but they do it's visa on arrival. So based on what your passport says,
Mm-hmm.
where your citizenship is, they will adjust your departure date accordingly. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you're a Japanese passport holder, it's 30 days. European Union, 90 days. U.S. citizens and I believe Canadians is a year.
Oh, wow.
And yep, so we're uh, we're looking at that too from the digital residency perspective to see if we can get either uh, an open timeline or some extra extensions for digital residents who want to stay and work from Palau or work in Palau. There's a lot of different possibilities.
Yeah, that all sounds great. And we're definitely going to get into a lot of the details and logistics and the nuts and bolts in this episode. But I thought before we dive in too deep, you could just give us a little bit of an overview, actually, of the country of Palau, because I think not everyone will be super familiar with it. So, the Digital Residency Office that you're the director of is part of the Ministry of Finance. So, you are, I guess, a government official, I'm guessing.
Yes, I'm on the Ministry of Finance's board of directors. We're a very small office. It's me and I have an immigration officer, Palau immigration officer that works for me.
Hmm.
Her role, we both share the admin load, but her role is to do the government background checks
Hmm.
against. We have three databases that we look at. The one that's specific to Palau is what's called the undesirable list. It's a list that's signed by the president every year, and it's just basically uh, if you're a foreigner and you committed some type of um, crime or other or you're suspected of criminal international criminal activity, money laundering, things of that nature, then you're put on the list and you either have to leave Palau or you're not allowed in. Those are those and right now citizens of Iran and North Korea are the only ones that we as a Palau government uh, do not allow to participate in the digital residency program.
Gotcha, gotcha. So we got tons of questions from our audience, and we're going to try to attempt to do it more or less sequentially. I thought
Yeah,
maybe
great.
the best place to start would be to just explain. People were curious about the free association with the United States. So my understanding is Palau has been a fully independent, recognized nation since 1994. You guys gained your independence in 1994.
Yes.
But you continue a sort of free association with the US. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how that dynamic works.
Yeah. So for uh, for Palauans, the Compact of Free Association was something really contentious. Growing up in Palau. The first three referendums in the early mid '80s were actually voted down. They couldn't get to 75%. It required 75% a majority
Mm,
vote. Like I said, 75% of the population of the votes had to go for the compact for it to be adopted, and they couldn't do that. They eventually, uh, you know, changed the rules so it was a majority vote, and it finally got passed. And what the Compact of Free Association does, it gives the United States the um, ability to base in Palau and put military strategic assets in Palau uh, as necessary for national security. And then Palauans get developmental assistance funds to fix the infrastructure, the airports, the roads,
hmm.
the ports, and the hospitals are the four major infrastructure projects that Palau uses the funding from the compact agreement for. And so that agreement is expiring in 2024,
Hmm.
but there's been several iterative memorandums of understanding that have been negotiated and signed.
Hmm.
Uh, it looks like we will continue to be a partner with the U.S. Moving forward. From 2000 from 2005 to 2000 right before COVID, there was a lot of economic alignment with China as the different presidential administrations, started paying less and less attention to the Pacific,
Hmm.
uh, and so China, they got a foothold and made a lot of different agreements with local businessmen and politicians in Palau to uh, to build up what looked like they were helping us build up our tourist industry. They approved 50,000, uh, well, more than 50,000 Chinese tourists every year who would go and it looked like they were spending money in Palau. Um, and so when COVID hit and we had to close the borders, that 50,000 tourist faucet turned off. Change in administration. The new president recognizes Taiwan. The new president has called China a bully. They're taking a harder look at how they're going to let Chinese tourists return to Palau, just because of the COVID situation in China. And so the Chinese government has not sent any. They've no longer there's no longer a normal plan to send that many tourists to Palau. So Palau is in a tight spot right now economically. Uh,
Why
as
is
you can
that?
imagine, the revenue from
Just
50,
because the loss of tourism?
yeah, the revenue from 50,000 tourists, uh, going away just hurt them really badly. And when you and so there, and then other countries uh, have not started sending uh, tourists again. Before COVID, there were regular flights from Taiwan and the Philippines. Those are
Hmm.
starting to get turned back on, but it's just been a slow process. So we do have, in terms of diversification, we do have a regular flights from Australia through Papua New Guinea that are going to start next month on the 1st of February.
That's cool. Hmm.
And then weekly flights or twice weekly flights from Taiwan. And we're close to negotiating a deal with Singapore and Japan to for regular flights. So with that, there's more logistically. There will be more options for flying into Palau,
Hmm.
and the prices should come down. Right now, United Airlines has the monopoly on the routes into Palau, so it's pretty expensive when I fly there.
I see. And so, where is the Monopoly route based right now? Like, what is the current route?
So there's they have two. United Airlines has two. So you have to connect through Honolulu
Okay.
and then Guam into Palau, and then coming out you can do that route in reverse, or you can go through. You have to go to Guam again from Palau, and then to Japan,
Hmm.
and then to Newark, New Jersey, in the U.S. Or you can go from Palau to the Philippines, and then get a connecting flight on a different airline, or stay on United to go
Okay.
out.
So the direct flights are currently Guam and I guess the Philippines, or
Philippines,
just Guam?
yes. Guam in the Philippines, and then there's
Okay.
they're still uh, kind of testing the routes with to Australia, to Brisbane, and
Hmm.
Taiwan, Taipei.
Yeah, that'll be cool to have the Taipei. And then what about like ferries? Like, is there a ferry to the Philippines or any kind of boat service?
Right now, no. There's talks of getting cruises to go into Palau, but that's still in initial negotiation. They do steam because they kind of proved the concept with a couple of major U.S. military exercises last year,
Hmm.
that you can put large boats into the Palau's ports. Uh, the one of the bigger ones was the U.S. naval ship Mercy. It's the big hospital ship. They were able to park it right in. It's called Malakal Harbor. It's the main harbor in Palau, and they stayed there for a month servicing patients.
Interesting. Um, so you brought up a little bit about the China US dynamic when it comes to this region. I know it's a sensitive topic, so if you don't want to discuss it further, that's fine. But I think it would be pretty interesting to the audience because you're closer to this than I am, of course. And there seems to be there's a phrase, but like a sort of like a fight for territory or influence in South China Sea, of course, in Oceania, in Southeast Asia. Could you just speak to a little bit about what that dynamic is? I imagine that you guys are quite aligned with Guam and the North Mariana Islands. And I know there's tons of like French and American islands and stuff kind of in that region that I bet you
Right.
guys are most closely aligned with.
Right. Uh, yes. I mean the contention. So yeah, it is. It can be pretty contentious. From Palau's perspective, a lot of local businessmen and politicians. They made. Uh, it was like the Chinese involvement and participation in tourism was really good for them because of the economic development that happened during that time. A lot of new hotels were built. This is around 2005 to 2010. A lot of new hotels were being built. The influx of revenue and capital, of course. Um, China provided Palau with uh, its first cell phone system, Huawei. It's
Nice.
2G, 3G with some in some parts 4G capability. Um, what else? And then just the constant turnover of tourists helped Palau establish itself as it already had the UNESCO site. There's a conservation area in Palau that's a world recognized UNESCO site because it's unique in the world, and the number of marine species and everything. So it was something that the UN wanted to protect, uh, and it helped Palau with its UN membership and things of that nature. Uh, so what we started to find out though is so China was they were partnering with local businessmen. They would build hotels, restaurants, and start tour agencies out of those hotels. But the tourists coming from China were only staying in the Chinese hotels. They were only
Hmm.
eating in the Chinese restaurants and only using the Chinese tour operators. So none of the Palauan companies or hotels or restaurants were seeing any of the income. So the revenue would streams that were supposedly coming in, aside from the corporate tax that those businesses were paying, none of it really translated into revenue for Palau. It was all going back to China,
Mm.
and so that it's so only a few people benefited from it. A few Palauans benefited from it.
Why do you think it is that the US has sort of pulled back from the region um, at the exact moment when China is looking to gain influence in the region?
Well, so the under the Biden administration, they've actually pivoted back, and so there's more. It goes by from administration to administration and what the
Gotcha.
administration's priorities are. So with under the Obama administration, he was in office for 2 terms, and the second term he started the pivot to the Pacific strategy, and right when that was gaining legs, Trump took office, and Trump had more domestic focused uh, agendas, and then with the outbreak of COVID and everything, that a lot of those plans were kind of shelved, along with the uh, developmental plans and partnering with the different countries in the Pacific region were kind of put on the back burner. But now then it looks like Biden, when he took office, he picked up where Obama left off, and they're gaining traction now. Um, but the example I use of what happened in Palau is pretty much what was going on in the rest of the countries in the
Yeah, it's
region.
like a microcosm for what's going
Yeah,
on in the region. That's
yeah.
what's
It's
cool about
just
it.
China will come in and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to negotiate. We just want to give you here. Take this, take this, take this." And then once they, that's how they build influence, and very quickly. And so we saw a big example is what happened in the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands have
Hmm.
completely, not completely, but they're moving away from their relationship with Australia that they've had since the end of World War II, and they signed a security agreement with China, allowing
No
China
way.
to do what the U.S. is doing in Palau and in other
Like
places. So
setting up bases and stuff
right, yeah,
and
exactly.
defense.
And training exchanges for security, and so the U.S. recognizes that, and they've softened their stance and in what they are able to agree to. Whereas in the past, it was they slowly reducing the amount of economic assistance, slowly reducing the amount of developmental aid. But now they're more, what do you need? We're willing to help. But with that compact of free, so that means I was in um, I call them Telegram town halls. We have a Telegram group with about 80 digital residents,
Nice,
and
dude.
once
Get
a
me in
month.
there. We just started our Telegram group. Sorry to cut you off. Shout out.
Okay, yeah.
There's a Latin Life Telegram group. You can add us at My Latin Life is the company Telegram at My Latin Life. I guess start with that, and then we can get you into the LatAm enthusiasts group that we've added over 200 people to just in the past 48 hours. But yeah, continue, please.
No, that's great. No, I'll definitely join. Yeah. So just from a Latin America perspective, my wife is from Colombia. She's from Bogota. I've been
Nice.
there many times. I've also traveled extensively throughout South America and the Caribbean. A couple of trips to Brazil, one to Uruguay, one to Argentina, a few trips to Peru, Ecuador. I've been to the Galapagos. It's just a beautiful, huge, diverse part of the world, and each country is unique and just had a lot to offer. I've never had a bad trip anywhere in the
Mhm.
region. So,
Absolutely. Now, I was reading a couple articles about the program, and we'll start talking about the e-residency program. And I
okay.
noticed that it said that 40% of applicants were from the US, 30% from Europe, and another 30% from Asia, including China. That article might be about 6 months old. What is kind of the split on people applying for the e-residency program? Where do you find that most applicants and e-residency holders are from?
Yeah, that's pretty much um, the divide right now. Those stats are, but it's hard to gauge because a lot of the applicants, they have different forms of ID, different passports, multiple passports, which is great.
Hmm.
I have a Palau passport and a U.S. passport. So but so we just have to go off of the country they tell us. But right now it's I think Asia Pacific is catching up a little, especially from Singapore and uh, China. So really, where you see countries where they don't have as much economic freedom, especially in the crypto space.
Hmm.
The digital residency ID card is something that they can use as a KYC AML validation tool, and it's accepted on the Binance exchange and a couple of the other uh, mainstream exchanges. So that's definitely a help for them, especially where cryptocurrency and doing business in crypto is restricted.
Yes, I think that's a very important point. So you're saying, oh, and by the way, I noticed the CZ, the founder of Binance, visited Palau and
Yeah.
was, I guess, part of the launch.
Yes. Yeah. He visited us in June, and just met with the president. Had a question and answer with Palau's Congress. He, of course, he did scuba diving. Palau is one of the seven underwater wonders of the world as far as scuba diving. And no, he hung out for a couple days, and I think he had a good time. And after talking to everyone involved in the program, uh, uh, expressed his support, uh, and he backed it up by giving us access to the Binance blockchain. So we're beta testing the. So there's two parts of the ID card. There's the physical ID card, and then there's a blockchain, a digital ID card. It's an NFT that digital residents will receive, and that's going to
Hmm.
be on the Binance blockchain.
Very cool. And so, what exactly is Binance's involvement with the e-residency program?
Aside from so he has a uh, they have a memorandum of understanding with our service provider. Our service provider for the digital residency program is a company called Cryptic Labs. They're out of California,
Hmm.
and just aside from the advice and other type of support that large multi-billion-dollar company like Binance brings to the table. Uh, they are also helping Cryptic Labs with developing our digital registry for corporations,
Hmm.
and what that would look like, and also giving us some ideas on how to set up digital banking in Palau.
Very cool. So I know that we haven't actually talked about what the e-residency program or digital residency program is concretely yet. So let's do that. How about Jay? Can you give us basically just an overview of the offering? So what exactly is this digital residency program that Palau is offering?
Sure. So what the digital residency program offers, it offers a way for non-citizens of Palau to take advantage of the law, the government structure in Palau to register your business,
Hmm.
or uh, so Palau is it's a member of the UN. It's has a compact of free association with the United States,
Hmm.
and Palauans are more or less free to travel anywhere, right, in the world, based on those two qualifiers. And so, what this is intended to do is extend those benefits as much as possible to other residents of the world, other citizens of the world, short of a path to Palauan citizenship.
Got it. So, what are the benefits of the e-residency program? So, it's helpful from a crypto's perspective. I understand it can help give you access to U.S. markets. It can give you a U.S. address or zip code or phone number. Walk us through some of the benefits that people will get if they choose to sign up for the Palau digital residency.
Okay, so right now we're working on three things primarily, and I always qualify this with we're moving at the speed of government, because there aren't a lot of regulations in Palau, but the lack of regulation can work for us or against us, because the bureaucrats tend to like to make stuff up as a barrier to uh, innovation. And so the big thing for our office is to just to push through that stuff, and
Hmm.
working with the lawyers and the president and the Congress to get their approval on different things. So the big one we're working right now on is uh, a mail forwarding program. It's an ancillary service. The cost of digital residency, I haven't mentioned that. I apologize. It's $248 a year, and what that gets you is exclusive access to the different ancillary services that we're developing that are on our roadmap,
Hmm.
and the actual digital uh, ID card, the NFT I mentioned earlier, and a hard copy card um, that you can have and carry with you. It has a lot of anti counterfeiting technology built into it. So some of the ancillary services, one of them is uh, the mailing service, mail forwarding service. So right now we're uh, almost finalized with the solution design. I'm waiting on the Postmaster General of Palau to get back to me and say they're good with it, so that I can push a regulation through to the president for promulgation.
Hmm.
Once that's done, digital residents, you would pay $100, and $34 of that is for the post office. They have U.S. Postal Service has their fees. It's a U.S. Zip coded post office in Palau,
Hmm.
and so and then the rest of it goes into an account, and that account goes towards your forwarding fees. So you could order something, have it sent to the U.S. zip coded address that we'll have set up for digital residents, and the post office will forward it to your home of record, your physical location.
That'll be pretty far, right? Shipping something from Palau to, I don't know, the States or Europe.
From Palau, it takes about 2 weeks right now, depending on the carrier.
Definitely a very crucial service for all digital nomads, though, is to have a mail forwarding service.
Yes, no, and if you're a digital nomad residing in Palau, you can go to the post office and pick up your mail. You'll have an actual address that you can have mail sent to, without having to um, open up a PO box or what have you, uh, for just temporarily. So yeah, and one thing about Palau, there's the actual population of Palauans living in Palau is 18,000 and change. There's another 2 to 3 thousand expatriates that live in Palau, so it's very expat friendly.
Hmm.
The official languages are English and Palauan, but there's just a mix of nationalities there, from a lot of Europeans. There are a lot of folks from Latin American countries, Americans, Australians, New Zealand, Taiwan, Philippines, Bangladesh. They're all there. A lot of expat communities, lots of uh, different programs and clubs and whatnot. So they're very ingrained and intertwined
Sure.
into the community.
We're going to keep talking about the benefits of the program and just the logistics of the program, but just as an aside, so you mentioned that this digital residency does not lead towards citizenship. Let's talk a bit about the just like the normal residency and normal path to citizenship. So, like outside of the digital residency, is there? Well, I guess does the digital residency have any path to a standard permanent residency, let's say?
Uh, I mean, yeah. Well, you can. It depends where you're from. There's You can become a permanent resident of Palau just by moving there. Like if you move there and decide you want to stay, you just go and apply for permanent residency.
Okay.
Uh,
What
and
what
the
are there any requirements? Do you have to make a
No,
bank
there's
deposit?
no, no, not at
Okay.
all. To be honest with you, no. You just have to um, show that you're not doing any kind of criminal activity. You're not you just like it and you want to stay. Like I said, Palau is different in that it just welcomes everyone. It's a true melting pot.
Okay.
for
And
everyone across the
I
board.
understand that you might not know some of these details. It's fine, but like, so if someone was to get a standard permanent residency in Palau, that could be pretty attractive because Palau is a territorial tax country.
Yep,
From my understanding, meaning they don't tax you on income earned outside of Palau, right?
correct.
Correct. And so you can get the permanent residency pretty easily, from what I'm hearing. And then, what are the physical presence requirements to maintain the residency? Do you have to stay in Palau a certain number of days a year? Do you have to, you know what I mean? Could you talk about the presence requirements?
There's none that I'm aware of. I could research that, and I'd be happy to follow up in the Telegram uh, chat
Okay.
with that answer.
So that sounds cool. So let's just say our American listeners, obviously anyone listening can go get the digital residency, and we're going to talk more about that because that's very exciting. But if someone wanted just normal permanent residency, they could fly to Palau via Honolulu, get set up. I guess, do they have to maybe get like an apartment lease or something like that? I'm guessing.
You usually, yeah, you could go that route. If you have a boat, there's a lot of yachts and stuff parked in Palau. They've been there for many years, and as long as you pay your annual, there's a fee associated for
Boat
the special.
registration.
Yeah, so yeah, that registration fee and I think another visa fee. I'd have to dig into the immigration regulation, but no, it's I mean people like I said have stayed there for many years.
Okay. So we can get residency in Palau. And then I noticed something very interesting about Palau's system of government, which is that, and maybe I'll just read what I wrote because I took some notes, which is nationality obtained through naturalization in Palau is available to those who have familial or historic relationship affiliations with Palau. Palau
Yes,
does not grant naturalization based upon residency in the country for a specific period of time, nor does it allow foreign spouses to derive nationality. Applicants
right.
for naturalization are required to have at least one parent who has recognized Palauan ancestry.
Yes. Yep, that's all true. So for myself, my father's American and my mother is Palauan. When Palau first ratified its constitution, they it came with a 3 year period where at the end of 3 years you had to declare, are you a Palauan citizen or are you a citizen of another country? Um, my mom and dad were living in Palau. My mom was a dual citizen as well of the U.S. and of Palau. So she gave up her U.S. Uh, citizenship to because she Palau is also matriarchal.
Mhm.
Like lands and titles and everything, they pass through the women.
Oh,
The
no way.
Yeah. So for example, my younger sister, when my mom passed away, all of our property and land and everything passed to her, even though she's younger, and has four older brothers. So we have to be nice to our sister for many reasons.
Wow, dude, I could do
Um,
a whole episode just on some of that stuff.
yeah. So
Um,
culturally, that's some of that. So Palau changed the constitution in 2008 with the rules that you just described, or if you have any kind of Palauan blood or lineage, you're a Palauan citizen, so you don't have to choose anymore. You can have dual citizenship.
gotcha. And is the Palau background or blood like 100% a requirement, or is there a possibility if you invest and bring a lot of value to the country, maybe you build some hotels, or I don't know,
So
do other important works for the
that's
country?
yeah, that's right now no, but that's something we're looking at with the. So it all depends, right? I mean, they can amend the constitution like they did before, and the digital residency program uh, could be a catalyst for that, right? Let's say we get a lot of digital residents, and they're um, they help prop Palau back up and get us out of the economic slump that we're currently in, coming out of COVID. Uh, you know, my thoughts are sooner or later the digital residents. There's about 92,000 right now that are in different stages of the process. They should eventually, they're going to want to have a voice in what happens. Like, it can't just be a subscription service. If it's true economic and citizenry diversification and inclusion, I think the digital residents will will get a vote in how things progress.
Interesting. So the digital residency program, how did this all come about? Could you tell us a little bit about the background of the program, the history, and how it got started?
I joined the program in June of last year, so it was still kind of in the initial stages. We had about 900 early adopters. We had a law that was passed in December of 2021, and an operating agreement with Cryptic Labs was in place. So my role, because my background in cybersecurity, I do a lot of governance and compliance. It was the Minister of Finance wanted someone who could come in and uh, get everything codified, and get an actual legitimate program going with the normal reporting and compliance reports and everything else. Uh, so there wasn't a lot of history. It happened rather quickly. I can trace back email traffic and news reports to about June of 2021, when
Hmm.
Palau was getting ready to reopen the borders following COVID, and they were taking a hard look at the economy, and the new president, President Whips. He's very inclined, business
Cutting edge.
inclined, and
Yeah.
technologically inclined, and he'd been speaking with a lot of different innovators in the blockchain and crypto space. And then they looked at the e-residency program in Estonia, and a lot of it was modeled after that. And based on the economic situation in Palau, they were able to pass the law through Congress fairly quickly, because they needed to find different different ways to diversify the economy. In addition to tourism, while tourism uh, was recovering. So in June, we did a hard push with Cryptic Labs. Took a look at some of the uh, uh, programs and operating procedures that were going on. Got those running, really really well, especially the AML KYC screening. Uh, and then we presented our report to the Congress. We have to report to Congress in August of every year, and it was very favorable. And so we silenced the skeptics. If and so the Congress backs it up 100%. The president from the beginning has backed it up 100%. We're part of the Ministry of Finance, which has the highest degree of governance and compliance requirements for the country, and we have a really good reputation in the United Nations and around the world. So we're slowly getting to where we're confident. The program is not going anywhere. It's not going to be discontinued. We don't
Cool.
have anyone opposing it anymore. So it's good. As far as job security for me, I'm fairly confident. Uh,
Very good.
Continue.
Yeah, speaking of reputation, I noticed some of the articles writing about this program, they sort of mentioned how this endeavor with the digital residency entails a fair amount of reputational risk for Palau in terms of it has to be successful, it has to be done above the board, ensure that there are no bad actors. Um, and maybe you could sort of speak to that and those reputational considerations.
No, yes, absolutely. Yeah, so our the so Palau's is very small. Is not just in population size, but uh, the geography. It's a very small island and it's very remote. And but it's a it has a really great reputation that stems from its environmental protection laws. It's economic exclusion zone, 300 mile all 300 miles out from the mainland all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
80% of that is was set aside as a marine sanctuary. So it's a protected area. There's no long line fishing. There's no commercial fishing, uh, and it's protected. It's they get a lot of assistance from Japan, Australia, the United States, and Taiwan in their efforts to protect it from poaching fish, or the Chinese steam these survey vessels in there. They're looking for ways to establish mineral rights so that they can make claims. Um, so with that international community helping Palau, uh, they're helping them because of Palau's reputation, and that Palau as a sovereign country is going to continue in these efforts for conservation. That's probably the foundation for Palau's international and interregional uh, strength or political power. And then beyond that, there's the strategic position of Palau. It's in the last island chain farthest west from the United States. So uh, I had posted a couple of articles in my Twitter recently. They just started construction of a radar base in Angar that's focused towards Asia, and so they can better monitor what's going on in North Korea or China, and so that you know that strategic positioning and strategic national strategic uh, position is another thing that's unique about Palau. So those two things together are kind of the what positions Palau in the world. Uh, Gives it strategic importance, and the reason why it's a member of the UN and has all these
Mm-hmm.
different programs that it's trying to do, like the digital residency program.
How long did it take to join the UN after independence? So independence was 94. How many years did it take to accede, if that's what they call it, into the UN?
I think it was probably the same year, or if not soon after. Um, Palau became I want to say it broke from the trust territory in '84. The Then it had a kind of a open relationship with the United States, but not really. It wasn't codified until the '90s with the Compact of Free Association.
Very cool. So let's get back to talking a bit about the residency itself. So I think you said it's $260 on the website. It says $263 a year annually, right?
Yep.
Is there an initial sign up fee as well, or just the 263 a year?
No, that's it, and you can do 1, 5, or 10 year um,
Oh, sweet.
subscriptions. Yep.
So, some of the benefits it says on the website, just to help people out here. So, digital nomads welcome, discounted entry exit fees, local lodging rates, discounted extension fees, visa renewals, tax-free stay, reliable high-speed internet, proximity to Asia, affordable cost of living, U.S. centralized banking system, international business networking, mailing address with U.S. zip code, remote online notary services. Oh, that's kind of cool. And that's like one section. And then there's another section that says a couple other benefits: virtual phone number, e-corporations registry, digital banking, remote notarization and apostille, virtual private networks, VPN, adoptometer. Not sure what that is.
Yeah.
So some pretty cool stuff. So maybe could you just kind of keep walking us through the benefits? Like, so can you start like a Palauan company?
Yes. So right now you can start a plowing company and register and plow. What we're trying to do with the e corporation or the e registry for corporations is set up a know your business, similar to know your
KYC.
customer. Yeah, that's verified and you register and you're verified in the blockchain. There was a law submitted in December 2021 along with the digital residency program law for that, but it wasn't approved. It was modeled after the U.S. state of Delaware's corporate registry
Hmm.
laws. The legislators in Palau didn't accept that. They felt there weren't enough assurances to prevent money laundering and shell corporations.
Hmm.
And so the president's office is currently where I was involved with the initial um, like planning and talks, but I'm no longer involved with it. I'm going to follow up this year and see where they're at with it and if it's time for me, because it was mostly a bunch of uh, just drafting the law and getting
Yeah.
and working with the legislators. I really didn't have a role in that. There was no technical beyond once I confirmed with them that yes, this can be done and stored on the blockchain. That I didn't need to be involved with the process anymore. But
Sweet.
that was yeah. I mean, I wasn't. It was one less meeting, so my feelings weren't hurt. Um, so that's one thing that we're working on. Closer to completion, as I mentioned, the mailing service. There's also a physical address scheme that we just sent the regulation to the lawyers to take a look at last week. But it's very favorable where every digital resident will get a physical address in Palau, and the physical address uh,
That's
we're
huge.
we're trying to see.
Just by default, if you sign up for the e-residency, you get a
Yes,
physical address.
yes,
That's huge. That's
it'll be
huge.
included with that price. The Yeah, we're just trying to figure out the mechanics for AML KYC and how that'll affect it when you go to renew your subscription. Right, a year from now, will there be an issue between your actual physical address and then this new Palau address in the different AML KYC um, uh, with the different AML KYC software platforms?
Hmm.
So
A
I
lot
think it's
of
pretty new and innovative. So we're trying to uh, run the traps and make sure that there's no showstoppers.
It's definitely innovative. It's extremely innovative. A lot of people were asking about a similar concept, an uninnovative one, which was a local bank account. And people wanted to know whether the e residency enables people to open a local Palau bank account.
Yeah, so that's we're working with the regulators on that. Right now, there's no central bank in Palau. We have
Mm-hmm.
branches for Bank of Hawaii and Bank of Guam in
Mm-hmm.
Palau. There's Pacific Development Bank and an Asian Development Bank. They have offices in Palau, but they do mostly small business loans and different development loans.
Mm-hmm.
They don't offer the traditional banking services. So we are working with. So there's two main regulatory bodies that oversee the financial industry in Palau: the Financial Investigation Unit and the finance. Oh, I'm sorry, the fine. Hold on, Financial Institutions Committee and the Financial Investigations Unit. Uh, and so they are in the middle of developing a digital assets regulation. And this is one of those things where, not having a regulation can slow the process down more than speed it up.
Right.
Because a
And
lot of
so
the
the
employers, yeah.
so the Bank of Hawaii, Bank of Guam that operate in Palau. If you had e-residency and you showed up in Palau, do you think you'd be able to open a bank account as like an American or
Oh, yes,
Westerner?
absolutely.
Yeah. Would you be able to do it without the e-residency, or is the e-residency like probably a useful
So
factor there?
uh, the law specifically restricts using the digital residency card to open a bank account. Unfortunately,
Okay, restricts using it. So basically, people would be any Westerner can go and open a bank account in Palau at the Bank of Hawaii or Bank of Guam, basically just as a on a tourist visa.
yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That is cool. And do you have to show up, or do you think it's possible to open a local bank account remotely?
It depends on the bank. I'm not sure what Bank of Hawaii and Bank of Guam's rules are. I mean, I like for me personally, I've always had online banks for as far back as I can remember. I had USAA, Pentagon Federal Credit Union, and I use Navy Federal Credit Union now. I've never stepped foot inside of a bank. Oh,
Okay,
and
good
I
to
use
know.
Chase. I use Chase for business stuff. I've never set foot inside of a bank.
Good to know. Where were you born, by the way, in Palau or in the
I
States?
was born in Palau. Yes.
Sweet. And oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode, you're calling in from Miami. Is Palau, um, is there like a Palau sort of consulate or official capacity going on in Miami, or what's up with Miami?
Actually, I live now in Pompano Beach. It's about a 45 minutes to 3 hours, depending on traffic. With from Miami, I have a home here, and I also have a house in Palau. I'm just right now staying in Florida.
Okay, awesome. So sort of splitting your time. Let's keep talking about the e-residency. Um, Some people also asked about sort of the differences between the Palau digital residency and the Estonian e-residency or other e-residencies that might be out there. I think Estonia is probably most famously the first one. Perhaps it was an inspiration, and I was just hoping you could maybe talk about some of those differences a little bit.
I mean, I'm not too familiar with the. I don't know where the e residency program for Estonia is currently. I think Lithuania has just started one as well. Uh, so as far as and they're further developed. I know that they're a little bit more costly, and then uh, they have a e corporation registry as well. I'm not sure if it provides a path to citizenship or if it's tied to digital nomad type programs. I know digital nomad programs for Estonia. You have to pay like what $3,000 for the application process and prove your level of income. Palau, does not. Uh, as far as ancillary services, Estonia is a little farther along. They've had the same issues we had, but I did a recent look, and they're starting to walk back a lot of the stuff that they were offering before.
Mm-hmm.
Like the like if you register a business there now, they're requiring physical presence where before they did not. Um, Palau, you still don't need to uh, be physically present and you don't have to be a digital resident to register a business in Palau, and
That's
in
cool.
fact the corporate registry that is is that they're working on is it's not just for digital residents. It's going to be just another economic incentive for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the, but for digital residents, really just the physical address is going to be huge. I don't know that Estonia offers that. And
Mm-hmm.
then for those that want to visit Palau in person, you don't need to have you don't need to visit Palau in person to apply for the uh, digital residency. You just go to the website, you do all the AML KYC, and we'll mail the
Mm-hmm.
card to you. Should you?
What's the turnaround time? Like after you apply online, you pay the fee. How long does it take to get accepted and get that get that card mailed out?
Right now, it's taking between 3 and 6 weeks.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's actually gotten a lot better. Our printing processes have improved, and of course the 3 to 6 weeks depends on where you're at. My wife applied for hers here in Florida, and it was here within 3 weeks.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was looking at the Palau Gov website, and you guys give sort of like a weekly report in terms of total applications, total accepted, total denied, ID cards being printed, money received, and I thought that was pretty cool. How many applications have you gotten to date since initiation for the program for the digital residency?
Yeah, so we're right around. I don't have the most recent number. We're right around 92,000, uh, and so between the and then just working through the different screenings for them. So Cryptic Labs does. They have a team that does some initial AML KYC screening,
Mhm.
and then the government of Palau through my office, we do a second, more thorough screening. So it takes time, but those are the requirements that the regulators put in place, and so it's all about making sure that we're compliant and we're following the letter of the law, which we are, to protect the reputation and legitimacy of the program.
Mhm. I noticed in one of the articles they said that you guys had received 300,000 applicants, quote unquote, overwhelming the digital residency program. But on the website it says 95,000. You're saying, around 92,000, same number, same
Yeah, that
number.
was
Why
in
this
the
disparity?
yeah in the initial phases. When we first opened up the application process, you could so when you registered, if you referred someone, uh, it would you would get moved up in the order of merit for
Smart.
getting
That's
your stuff
smart.
processed. So people just they started using bots and stuff, and so yeah, that was one of the things we had to go back and look at and detect, bot or not, and then we eliminated the we did made some adjustments and we're able to eliminate that. And so it was really around 92,000. Yeah, I mean,
Gotcha, gotcha.
300,000 applications in a at the onset of anything is going to overwhelm pretty much any starting uh, program.
Gotcha. So it's saying as of November, there were 1,643 total Voyager Pass holders. What exactly
Yeah.
is the Voyager Pass?
So the Voyager Pass is uh, a program, a supporting program with if you buy the NFT on OpenSea, it gives you a certificate of authenticity. Uh, so we went with that. So remember what I was saying about the in the beginning, like if you referred someone, you would be moved up in the priority for stuff. We went to that Voyager Pass instead. So it requires uh, an additional AML KYC check, and then uh, you're actually a legitimate entity that we can therefore assign priority to. And so using the blockchain again, we're using that to authenticate digital residents, and so you can so someone signing up for the program
Hmm.
can use the Voyager Pass, and then when they're done and they're in, they can sell it to someone else, or they can keep it and it'll give them priority once these ancillary services come online. Uh, to for the like you'll be first in line for the mail forwarding service, physical address, uh, things of that nature.
Very cool. So, one of the benefits is access to US markets and the US banking system. Is there an ability to get like a US dollar debit card or a US credit card?
Those are things we're working on now. And once we have the digital asset regulation passed, it'll lay out exactly what we're allowed to do with those different things. The one thing with and it's not just the U.S. market; it's Latin America, not Latin America. I'm sorry, Asia, the Pacific. Palau it's a 5 hour flight from really anywhere in the Pacific. So if you're looking for a place to base your business or yourself and then do business in the Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and even India, um, Palau is really strategically located for you to do that. It's in close proximity as far as geography, but also time zone.
Hmm.
And it's becoming easier uh, to fly to those different places. I mean, right now you go to the Philippines and then you can go anywhere else, or if you have business in the Philippines, it's a 2 hour flight
Right.
uh,
Is it to Manila or?
to Manila. Yep.
Okay, sweet. And so I think because I'm not the biggest crypto guy, I almost don't know what questions to ask. But I imagine a lot of the biggest benefits are for crypto people. But I guess before we get into that can of worms, um, what do you think would be some of the biggest benefits for non crypto people? Right, if you're just like I don't know a standard digital nomad or internationalizer, how do you
Oh yeah,
think that the non crypto people could use this program effectively?
yeah. No, I mean the program is probably 80% uh, designed for non crypto people like myself. I mean, I keep up with it. I understand the concept, but I'm more focused on the blockchain technology and how the blockchain provides decentralized validation, records, and verification. More than any of the traditional programs that are or schemes that are out there record. It's very secure, right? And so that's the strength of the digital residency program, that it's on chain verification. It's not something that's sitting in a computer database somewhere in Palau. It's something that's
Hmm.
distributed across the Binance blockchain. And so if there's ever any issues, or you need to locate a record, it's there's so much redundancy, you'll be able to find that record. If anyone tampers with or tries to tamper with uh, the identification, or tries to counterfeit it, or copy it, we'll know right away, because
Gotcha.
it'll impact the blockchain.
So,
So for digital nomads, okay, yep.
go ahead. Go ahead. So for digital
Well,
nomads.
so I mean, for digital nomads, I mean, it's like I said, it's really, Palau's it's Palau's position, and then just yeah, it's very small. If you're someone that likes big cities, your time staying in Palau is probably going to be very limited. But if you like great connectivity, because we have a fiber optic connection, so you're, as a digital resident or a digital nomad, that's huge. Being able to have uninterrupted connection to uh, your home office, wherever that is in the world. And then if you're doing business if you want to do business in the Asia Pacific region, you're in a pretty centralized time zone. You have it's very safe. There's very little crime in Palau. The cost of living is low. Apartment rent, if depending on size, averages $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
Hmm.
Uh, there's Airbnb. There's uh, uh, taxi services, Uber. There's a bus service. And then, on your weekends, you don't have to fly 30 hours and spend a ton of money to get to your vacation location. There's if you like anything to do with the ocean and water sports, they have it in Palau.
Very cool.
And then Monday
So if
morning you go
someone
back
wanted
to
to,
uh,
so if someone wanted to basically set up this Palau e-residency in order to have greater access to Asian markets and sort of do business with Asia, do business with India, Philippines, whatever, how would that kind of work? Like, where would they like, let's just say you set up some work contract with people in the Philippines, whatever. I don't know, you do some build some software for them or something, right? How can you actually get paid? Would it be through that like Bank of Hawaii bank account, or would it be maybe through I don't know, like a crypto centric bank account that you can set up with the residency, or how can you actually sort of get access to payments and payment processing
no, I mean
and receiving money?
your current um, like your whatever business, however your business is set up financially right now, you just keep that model, and open a brand, just open uh, like an office in Palau, and then
Hmm.
register your business there. And then you have from then on, you have a presence in the region, and it's legitimate. And you can do that with your Palau digital resident card.
Very cool.
And you don't have to open any new bank accounts, or anything like that. You can, just if you have a bank in the U.S. or Canada or Mexico, you keep all your banking stuff the same. It's
Hmm.
just you now have a business presence in Palau.
And sorry, just to double down. So the way you have the business presence in Palau, you get the e-residency, and then what do you do once you have the e-residency to sort of solidify that business presence?
Oh, just yeah, there are maybe two or three forms you fill out, and then you can um, open a corporation in Palau.
Okay, sweet. And I know you're not a financial advisor or tax advisor, so that's the disclaimer for the episode. Um, but let's just take the situation for Americans for a minute in a couple different ways because I think Americans are probably I don't know, half 60% of our audience. Um, could you have a U.S. company owned by a Palau company, right? So could you have a Palau company kind of at the holding company level and have that own like a Texas LLC or Wyoming LLC, something like that?
Yeah, that's some of the things we're looking at with the new corporate registry law. Uh, right now, I'm not sure. I don't know how that would
No
work.
worries. For Americans, we're able to do the foreign earned income exclusion at the personal level. Maybe you're somewhat familiar with that.
Right.
Um, do you think Palau could work as a good um, base in a holistic strategy with the foreign earned income exclusion? Because typically you have to sort of like write an address on your on your IRS tax return, like like where did you spend most of the year, or whatever. Where is your tax home? And
Right.
you could maybe use that Palau address.
Yeah, with that's going to be one of the big benefits of the physical address in Palau.
Hmm.
Yeah, once we get that online and the regulation promulgated, that's one of the things we're definitely hoping for is that it's going to provide a way to benefit from that foreign tax exclusion, so that you're paying the
Sweet.
4% Palau corporate tax instead of 13% or whatever it is here in the U.S.
Okay, 4% Palau corporate tax rate. What
Yep.
about hiring for Palau corporations? Do you know anything about that? Can Palau corporations like hire foreigners and stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's more information, more detailed information on the website. But to work in Palau, there's a work visa process, and so that's yeah, it's definitely possible. Matter of fact, that's how Palau fills most of its more technical positions, both in business and the government.
Hmm.
They hire from the United States, Australia, different countries.
The physical residency address or residential address, is that something you guys are still working on, or is that already ready? Is that already part of it?
So the solution design is done. We just
Hmm.
have to get it through uh, the legal advisors to bless off on it, and then there's a promulgation process where it goes through a series of checks before it's signed by the president.
Okay.
Yeah, all regulations in Palau are signed by the president. So there's a lot of eyes that go on them before they're like one step below law.
Another question for you. Do holders of the digital residency necessarily have to file annual tax returns?
No, no,
Good
not in
to
Palau.
know.
No, no, unless you open a business in Palau or work for a Palauan company or the Palauan government. No, there's no requirement. Um, if you go there as a digital nomad and your company is in Germany or somewhere else, your income is your income, and that's between you and Germany or whichever country is the
Right, right, right.
company's.
Because the income basically flows through to where your actual tax residency is. I guess
Correct.
that's the idea.
Yes.
So everything sounds great so far. I mean, $260 a year, pretty much seems to be no downside, and a lot of upside in terms of access to additional markets. Are there any risks or catches that we aren't seeing?
No, that's one thing with the program, and why I agreed to be a part of it when the minister. I was invited to for the so I'm appointed. I'm an appointee by the president, but I do have a reputation that I enjoy, and I didn't want to get involved with anything that seemed like a Ponzi scheme or a pump and dump type thing. But once I saw the level of uh, regulatory compliance that's required and the amount of oversight, I understood that this was something that's very legitimate, and the government is taking it very, very seriously, because there's a lot at stake. When you mentioned the reputation of Palau, Palau uses the U.S. dollar uh, as its currency, and there are uh, a lot of stringent requirements that Palau has to meet to be able to uh, continue using the U.S. dollar and not have to generate its own currency. And
Mhm.
and then just from the UN membership in the UN, membership in different regional uh, um, committees and organizations. They're all on the line. A lot of the economic aid they get is all tied to how other countries and other outside organizations view Palau's risk level. And if they were to pull something, uh, uh, that did a disservice to other people in the world, it would not bode well for Palau. So it's having said that, there's no way, as long as I'm involved with the program, that it's going to go off and do anything illegitimate or illegal.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense for smaller nations to do things like that. I think we kind of mentioned like Panama has their yacht and boat registry program, and that brings in like billions of dollars a year for Panama, having like 60% of the world's boats like registered in Panama. So I feel
Yeah,
like it's
Palau.
it's kind of a similar concept.
Yeah, Palau has a we have a ship registry as well, and we're looking hard at that to see if we can bring it on the same level as Panama. It's just something that hasn't been explored in the past.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a infrastructure as a service. I think it's a totally legit thing. So I know we've sprinkled some of this throughout the episode in terms of plans for the future, plans for the next few years. But if you had to just summarize it in a couple of sentences, what are the plans for the digital residency program for the next couple of years?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely the next couple of years. Uh, we've really been able to get ourselves to a point now where uh, the Palau government is open to promulgating regulations and getting the ancillary services online, a little bit better understanding of what the program is all about, and what the digital residents are going to be able to do in Palau. The over the next year, we just want to get the ancillary services like the mailing service and the physical addresses, and the visa extensions uh, uh, up and running and
Hmm.
available. And then we're going to start looking, probably in the next few months, zeroing in on the digital banking and digital phone uh, programs to try and see if I can help the regulators develop the digital asset regulation that's needed to push those forward. And then uh, just really like shows like this, getting the word out to different markets and different populations that aren't aware of the program, and seeing if they're interested in signing up as an option to some of the other programs, similar programs that are out there.
Good to know. Yeah, I'm really excited for the future. I think once you have some of those services up and running, this is going to be an absolutely stellar program. I mean, it already is, but once you have some of those things, this will be like a world leading program for sure. It's super innovative.
Yeah, and we're really grateful to the early adopters who signed up, with no ancillary programs available, that just with our roadmap, because they've really helped fuel the legitimacy of the program, and showed the Congress and the president that it's a viable program. People are interested, and hey, if we can get these regulations pushed through and these services online, we're going to get more participation. So definitely a huge thanks to the early adopters, and we're working hard for you.
Absolutely. I'm down as well. So everyone out there, get over to the website and sign up. What's the website again? Is the main one
It's our
palaugov.pw or
plugov.pw. There's some information there, but to sign up, it's rns.id.
rns.id? Sweet Jay. I got one or two quick questions for you. A little bit random, but have you heard of Liberland, the micronation project in Europe? Because they have a similar sort of e-residency program as well. Was just wondering if you were aware of it and if you guys had kind of communicated or inspired each other at all.
I'm aware of the program, but as a legitimate sovereign nation and government, we really haven't done any kind of association with them.
Right. Yeah, you guys are next level because you guys are a real UN recognized country, but some similarities just in terms of the offering. And people can go check out. We had an episode with Joey Langenbrunner, representative of Liberland, some episodes ago. One other question. So there are a lot of countries in the world that use the U.S. dollar. In Latin America, we have Ecuador
Yeah.
and Panama being probably the most well-known examples. Is there any sort of like integration between these countries that use the US dollar, but they're their own sovereign nations? Like, do you guys have any kind of special relationship with Panama and Ecuador?
No, not that I'm aware of. No, no, unfortunately. Aside from the common currency, uh, I think from not from an economic on an economic level, I believe after Palau uh, established it's called the Palau National Marine Sanctuary.
Hmm.
The 80% of the economic exclusion zone that's set aside for marine preservation. And then they also established the Palau, like the entire region of Palau is the island of Palau, and its economic zone is a sea turtle and shark sanctuary. So like very strong advocacy against shark finning and those types of practices. They worked with the Galapagos in Ecuador, who also adopted similar um, uh, protection, not laws, but just the methods. There's a lot of exchange of information. Palau also has the Palau Pledge that when tourists enter Palau at the airport, you sign and accept the pledge that you're going to take care of Palau and the environment and things of that nature. So in Galapagos, they have a similar um, thing when you land at the airport. You pay the entry fee and you sign a pledge as well. I remember doing that. I still have my Galapagos pledge somewhere. I thought that was really cool. So there's collaboration on other in other areas. Uh,
Hmm.
not necessarily the economy, but it's all tied to the economy, especially tourism being a huge source of revenue uh, for Panama, Ecuador, a lot of different countries, and Palau. So there's definitely a lot of things they could learn from each other.
Cooperation. Speaking of nature, you guys have a UNESCO World Heritage Site?
Yes, it's called the Thousand Island uh, UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's Palau's kind of unique geographic feature are the rock islands. They're volcanic, little volcanic formations. They look like those like the Krabi Islands in Thailand, except not as tall. They have more of a rounded shape to them, and so that area is off limits. It's a like I said a protector. There's I think over 400 species of marine wildlife there, and you can see it from the air and from a boat from afar. But it's protected, and we also have Jellyfish Lake. That's a pretty uh, famous spot where you have
I've heard of
non-stinging
this.
millions of non-stinging jellyfish that you can go and swim with. It's great for the Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. And it's just once you get over the wow factor and remember that you have a camera, yeah, it's great. It's beautiful.
Sweet. So Palau, guys, not just for online registration. If you're going to check out every UNESCO site in the world, you got to make it to Palau. If you want to visit every country in the world, we have a lot of listeners actually that are chasing 193 or 197. They're trying to go to every country in the world. So Palau's on that list, guys.
Yeah, that's on my list. I'm up to 47,
That's
47
awesome.
countries. Yeah, I'm trying to get there as well.
And
And
one last thing, sorry, out of order, but at the beginning you said sort of the list of crypto exchanges that you could sign up for using the Palau e-residency. Could you give us that list again?
off the top, I don't have it in front of me, but I know the Binance exchange is one. I'd have to look it up and send
And
it to you.
would they have to sign up for Binance US or Binance International?
I believe it's Binance US, but I
Okay,
could be
got it.
wrong, or it might be both.
Very cool. All right, that'll do it, Jay. You've been super generous with your time. RNS.id is where you guys need to go to apply for your Palau digital residency. I'm on the site right now. I'm salivating. I think I'm going to pull the trigger. Jay, tell us a little bit more about the message that you want to get out there to the people and where you want to direct people's attention.
No, thank you for the pointing out the website and yeah, I just like check out the website and see if it's for you. I mean, there's a lot of programs out there. I think what we offer, and then our not just our offerings. They're probably the same as you'll see in other countries. But look at you know if you look future forward, a lot of Eastern European countries are facing some economic fallout as well from
Mhm.
what's going on in Russia, Ukraine. There's several countries that they've started these programs, and they anyone can put um, like great sounding uh, services and benefits on a website, but do they actually deliver? And do they actually have the infrastructure and government backing to make those a reality? And I think uh, time will tell. And Palau, from my perspective, running this program, it definitely does, and we're doing it meticulously, and we're doing it right, and we're going to maintain our legitimacy and our reputation. And if for those of you chasing countries, definitely go to Palau. If you're a scuba diver, you have to go to Palau. Uh, the cost of traveling there is coming down. It's unforgettable. So thank you, and thank you for your support, and thanks again to the early adopters for helping make this program a reality.
Yep, we very much respect that you guys are doing it above the board, and you guys are doing it the right way. I think it's super, super innovative. I'm sure it can be hard at times to be at the cutting edge, but what you guys are doing is basically making history, literally. Like, this is super, super cool. So highly recommend everyone get involved in one way or another. Jay's Twitter as well is at JHX_1138. So that's his Twitter account. You can follow him there. Palaugov.pw as well as the RNS website. So Jay Hunter Anson, Director of the Digital Residency Office of the Republic of Palau. Jay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.